welcome to the Violent Money End of Year Awards for 2023. I know that we are already in the first couple of weeks of 2024 and everyone's looking forward to the action that's coming up. But of course, you will know if you follow us on social media that we were running the vote for our End of Year Awards. And now we are finally here to do the End of Year Awards, a podcast, and reveal all of the winners. We are going to be back next week to do champ predictions. So from now on, it'll be looking ahead instead of looking back. But there's so much cool stuff that we get to talk about on this podcast that happened in the last year. Cauley, as the vote counter and also the person who posts these out, what was it like doing it this year? Because last year was an experience doing it for the first time, and I feel like this year it ran a lot smoother.
I think it definitely ran a lot smoother. I mean, the Survey Monkey helped to count up 300 of the votes. But the other 1,000 odd we got over the other posts were not good to count on Instagram. And tallying it, I have gone cross-eyed. And I've only just recovered, I think. So, yeah, it's been beautiful as always. It's been lovely. It's been
Lovely
very
stuff.
close, though. It's been very, very close in a lot of categories. So I think everyone should be buzzing.
Some stacked categories as well. Like I saw some of the comments that we were getting where it happened last year as well, where people go, "Oh, what about this one?" And we're like, "We can only have 4." Like, in some points we only had 3 because we were like, "There's so many options for the 4th pick that we can't choose it ourselves. We're just gonna have to let people decide it." Like, it was crazy.
You get to a point where it's like you say there, like for rookie, we had 3 nominees because there's so many other athletes you can say, all right, yeah, you had a good year, but then you put it next to someone else. It's like they had a similar. It's such a constant knock-on effect. But I think everyone nominated deserves it, and I think every other contribution that was put forward also was a great shout. So thanks for getting involved, everyone. Yeah, it was buzzing. It was a really good turnout.
I think it shows the standard of UK MMA now as well compared to like in the past, especially when you're looking at like that world level, right? We'd have probably struggled to find some people to nominate. So, I mean, having 2 world champions on that list helps. But yeah, I just such a strong year for UK MMA, and I think that's shown in these awards.
100%, man. 100%.
Absolutely, and also, Cauley might have had to sit and count up these votes one by one, but there's a couple of awards on this list that show like why if there's one that you scroll past and you were like, oh, that one should definitely win, vote for it, because some of them came down to the wire. Like, I don't remember this happening last year. I feel like last year they were way more decisive, like in one way.
There was some I counted. I won't say which category, but I counted it 5 times, and I got the same number 4 times and a different one it was out by 1 on the next time. So I was like, oh my god. So I counted it another 5 times and got the same answer that it is. But then I had my missus count all the ones I'd counted to make sure, and then she got different ones, and then she's recounted. But now the official whatever you say it's done. It is finished. It's finalized, and it is 100% accurate. God help my retinas. Oh, it's heavy, man.
Okay, so the other thing I should say is if you watch the end of year awards that we did last year, we had a couple of acceptance speeches from the winners. And whilst we haven't had time to sort those out ahead of this podcast being recorded, they will be posted, the ones that we get sent back to us with the announcement that we post on social media that the people have won those awards. So, if you come here to check out who's won every single award, great. You can also go on social media and find it there, and there'll be written pieces about them as well on the site and stuff like that. So this isn't the only thing we're doing for the end of year awards. There's so much stuff planned out, so much so that we haven't really been doing a whole lot else because this just like takes so much like focus. Even just coming up with the nominees is like such a process all by itself. But we finally did it. So we can finally announce who won some of these awards. We're going to kick off with a category that's very fitting, I think, to be the first category that we reveal the results of. Rookie of the Year, which we deemed as being a fighter that turned professional in 2023, which made it extremely difficult to pick 4 nominees, as we said, because there were so many that was like, how do you measure that person against that person? You know, especially if they haven't fought throughout the entire year. But in the end, I think we came out with 3 very, very deserving nominees, and of course, the option for people to nominate their own. Teddy Stringer had a great year in Cage Warriors, I think. Probably the standout guy from the Fight Academy. Me and Steve went to go watch him in London, and the crowd, like, he's already a fan favorite. Like, the amount of people that showed up in London.
Half the crowd had masks with his face on.
That was incredible.
It's such a good gimmick that as well, isn't it? Going into Fight Week, having all your fans of your face on. I love that. I really love that.
Yeah, that was incredible. This is one of the awards that came right down to the wire. If I'm not mistaken, George Staines missed out on this award by 2 votes, I believe, was what it came down to. And again, an exceptional year. I believe he made our amateur of the year list last year. I can't remember who won the awards from last year. That is a part of my brain I don't have access to. But
I think it was Shea Ingram. It was Shea Ingram. Big shout out to Shea Ingram.
And so a lot of people have had their eyes on George for a long time, and coming through the Octagon Challenge series, it was like, well, you know, it's going to be hard for people to beat the winner of that series, because it's like a little amateur tournament that ends in them turning pro. And well, not they come into it. A lot of them came into it as amateurs, rather, I should say. But George came out on top, had a good year. I remember speaking to you, Cauley, when that tournament got put together, and we were both like, this could be really big for George Staines, just to get some experience under his belt and like have a launching pad for his career. And that's exactly what happened.
Exactly, man. Especially with Channel 4, I don't think you can... he really broke out through that, and he was a fan favourite of, obviously, with people watching at home on Channel 4. So it's a... He was, honestly, I thought George would have smashed it coming in. Well, he did smash it, but I thought George was going to be the winner. Just with Octagon coming over and making the big noise that they are, him being like a big star that they're putting a lot of focus on in the marketing department. Yeah, I thought it might have been a handy win for George, but...
Well, George Staines did make quite the impact, but one of the things that I said in my written piece about this award winner, once you watch a clip of Chanel Dyer fighting, you will never forget what watching Chanel Dyer is like. I can't remember seeing, like, you just can't teach that level of ferocity. The way she hits people is scary. 4 wins this year, like that, from just numbers alone, no one else got 4 wins this year. To have that as your first year as a pro is incredible. Plus the fact she was nominated for 2 other awards that we did this year. It's like, George Staines I think George Staines would win this award most years, but Chanel Dyer had a special year this year. Like, we all were hyped, again, nominated for Amateur of the Year last year, I believe. But the year she had right now, as I put in my written piece, she isn't just the future, she's the present as well.
Amen to that, bro. Amen to that.
And it's the way she did it too, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to mention her on one of the other awards for her first fight. There was a submission in there as well. And her last fight, she beat someone with 20 pro fights in her 4th pro fight.
And she made her cry, didn't she make her cry on the stool or something? Which obviously, like, no, not trying to disrespect her opponent, but like that takes some doing, man. Like, I've never seen anyone go back to the stool and cry because the kicks are too hard ever, and I don't think we ever will again for a long time. So it just shows how strong that Muay Thai base is before she made that transition, man. Chanel is going to be a scary woman on that global stage, man. Yeah, PFL have got very, very lucky getting her so early on. So lucky.
And I realized I just misspoke there and said there was a submission in there. There definitely wasn't. It was 2 TKOs and then the decision and the TKO in the 4th fight as well in the 3rd round.
With that Jet Li ninja kick she did in that last fight as well. That picture where she's just like...
That picture is insane.
That's picture of the year. We haven't done that award, but picture of the year is Chanel Dyer. Chanel Dyer doing that. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite things from looking at the vote for this award was Teddy Stringer commenting if he can vote for himself. I love that. And us just being like, yeah, Why not?
Yeah, and you obviously talked about George and Chanel, but there were many years that Teddy wouldn't have won this award too.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
He was so high, I mean, he was so highly thought of as an amateur as well, and then coming into pro.
Yeah.
Many years he could have won this award. He looked really impressive, especially like that last time, like you mentioned, Kyle.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what's incredible, I think, about us being able to give out these is all three of those names that we nominated have been people that we would have nominated like in the past to be like the must-watch prospect. So
Yeah.
for them to all have incredible, first years of their pro career is just great to see. We get to carry on talking about Chanel Dyer for a minute because she's also nominated for this next category, Knockout of the Year. 4 incredible knockouts. I'm sure that there were so many that I kept seeing come up or would just re-enter my memory, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's so good." But is it better than the other 4? Because the 4 that we picked are absolutely incredible. Before we reveal the winner, I'll mention the one that I thought might have a sneaky chance of winning because it was so impressive the first time I watch it, and it gets more impressive each time I see it. And that is the combination that Dakota Ditcheva landed on Cornelia Holm to finish that semi-finals. Absolutely ridiculous. And, Dakota Ditcheva is going to be mentioned also a few times during this podcast. And I think that's like the best. If you can show someone what she all about, that combination is just perfection. But again, before we talk about the winners, is there anything you guys wanted to say about Chanel Dyer and Michael Venom Page?
Oh man, I was quite surprised, and I'm not throwing shade now. I am very surprised that Michael Page didn't get more votes than what he did. I was very, very, very surprised. Even it wasn't as flashy as it was, just a nice cheeky leg kick that sent Goiti Yamauchi. Have I said that name right?
Not quite, but it's fine.
I've had some rum. We'll allow it for today. I mean, I've had some beverages, but yeah. I thought that was a really nice knockout. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was really sick. Just put a dent in his shin off one kick. Like, just shows the power MVP's got, especially with that UFC signing as well. I really thought we'd see him a bit higher up, but that Chanel finish is.
Yeah, I voted for Chanel in this category. I kind of took the stakes of the fight out of it, like we'll see when it comes to the winner. But no, that Chanel finish, excuse me, was it's insane.
That should be choreographed for an anime, honestly.
Yeah,
Chanel
should love that
an
too.
anime.
Should love that too.
So good, man.
Yeah. I'm not totally surprised by the MVP one not getting it, because out of all the ones that I'd want to watch on repeat, that one is definitely the one I don't want to watch on repeat.
That's true. Also, that's a fair point.
I feel like we had to nominate it because I've never seen anything. I've never seen that before. And for people to be the whole build up of that fight to be talking about how he's going to deal with his grappling and he just takes him out with the first leg kick. It's just like, come on, man.
Ruthless.
Incredible stuff. But I feel like when you take stakes into account, especially, there was only going to be one winner of this award, and it was going to be Big Tom Aspinall winning the interim title on 2 weeks' notice against the scariest man in the UFC. But I think the knockout itself was a beautiful shot. But what makes it more impressive, I think, is the overall performance. People talking about how dangerous Pavlovich is. For Tom to eat that shot earlier in the fight, where everyone, suddenly we're all sat, edge of our seats, like, oh my god, this could go really bad, and then just a beautiful setup and shot to hurt Pavlovich and then finish him. One of the best moments of the year. There was no way it wasn't going to somehow. Tom Aspinall had to win an award this year because he's been exceptional, and that knockout was obviously the best thing he has done in the UFC to date.
And it's the way he remained calm after getting caught by Pavlovich, right? Yeah. Not only did he stay on his feet, he stayed calm. He kept going. He kept at his game. The game plan didn't go out the window. He knew what he was there to do, and then pretty quickly afterwards, he went and did it.
He's like, even though he's obviously competing now, he's like the next generation of talent, and he's just so good at everything. Like, I couldn't tell you one thing he's not good at. He's absolutely outstanding. And do you know
not many heavyweights like Tom Aspinall.
No, and honest to God,
ever.
I think give him Jones, fuck the Stipe fight off, give him John. Well, no, John Jones is injured, but like, give him just do it. I don't want Miocic versus Jones. I want Tom to unify the belts and become the champion.
I think a lot of people are right there with you, Cauley.
Thank you. I think we should start some heavy protests. You thought Just Stop Oil were annoying. I can be worse. I can be worse.
Yeah, now I've just got the image of Cauley like zip tying himself to the octagon until they let John Jones fight Tom Aspinall.
Give this man a shot. But no. And also, I think Tom Aspinall's got the best walkout song in the UFC. So shout out to Curtis Mayfield as well.
Well, he changed it for the last one, didn't he? He didn't
changed it. I would agree with you, but he changed it.
What?
I think it's just a one-off because
What?
he was in New York. Let's be real.
Did he change it for Pavlovich?
Yeah.
But he did walk out to Englishman in New York. It was pretty
Oh,
good.
no, he did. No, he did. No, he did. He did, didn't he? No, I remember now. Now you've said it, yeah. Which is fair enough. Love a bit of Sting as well. Like, I'm about that. But
it was a good switch up if you are going to switch it up. But
yeah, it's a great substitute. It is a great substitute. But still.
Our third award, regional promotion of the year. Putting this together last year was brutal, right? Because there's so many that deserve credit, and trying to remember what all of them have done this year is so difficult. We did manage to whittle it down. We had an other for this one as well, right? Because it was just too difficult to do. But we did at least the graphic we put up on Instagram had the 6 nominees that were all incredibly deserving. I don't know how this one went voting wise, but I will let Cauley speak about this because I feel like you will be most in the know, but also you know how the voting roughly played out.
Oh, I do indeed. So it wasn't as close as other categories, but it was close. It was very close. I was the winner had the lead from the start, which is new to these awards. Normally, we have a bit of a mix up, and then it's like, but yeah, the winner was off from the start. But I also don't think we should be taking into account, not taking into account. Sorry, I'm on a tangent. Every one of those promotions we nominated had a great year, and the votes definitely reflected that because everyone towards the end got an even slice of the pie. It was close, man. It was very close. I'm trying to think of like an exact thing now, but I can't, so I'm not even going to try and bullshit and plagiarize live on air. But yeah, shout out to everyone, man, because so many good fights in them promotions this year. Even I was thinking, I don't know who I'm picking. I don't think I did vote. I think I skipped that one, to be honest, because who do you vote for?
Yeah, it was tough. But also that, again, we talk about the incredible year that UK MMA has had. It's like top to bottom because the fact that all of them were getting votes is like, if we nominated like 6 with an other and one of them steamrolled it, you'd be like, that's not the best thing in the world. But the fact that they're all, so deserving of people showing them love and giving them a nomination for being the best one, and it was such an even split. The winner in the end was Cage Warriors Academy Southeast, which I think, of the ones it's definitely been one that has popped up a lot, like even without me looking for it. Like obviously following Cage Warriors, following Brad Wharton, following all these people, it comes up anyway. But like, it was definitely the one that stuck out in my mind when you put the graphic up on social media of being like, oh yeah, that one's caught my eye quite a few times this year with just some of the cards they put together have been absolutely crazy. But I could also say that about, several of the other nominees that have come up in my kind of general sphere throughout the year. So
it was an amazing year for him, and they've got a few lads have gone to move on to Cage Warriors. Tommy Big Ting's Brunning, he's just signed late last year. What's that?
Great nickname.
It is a great nickname, isn't it? I asked him for a quote one day and he put, yeah, Big Ting's a guan. And I was thinking, how am I going to write this? How am I going to put this on a post? But I got there. But no, it was a really good year. And shout out to FCC and Samurai FC as well. Those two from memory were second and third, and it was very, very close. It was very close, man. And as it should be, FCC is a great promotion up in Bolton. Samurai's great down in Wales. Richard Shaw and everyone running a good one there. Yeah, as like Steve said before, like UK MMA's just had a great year, and it definitely reflects regionally as well. I think there's so much talent we have to keep an eye on. Because I keep thinking, oh, last year was the golden age of MMA. Look at that for UK. Look at all this talent coming up, all this talent we've got coming in. This year's blown out of the water. And this year coming now, I don't know what to expect. You know what I mean? Everyone's just rising so quick. So fun times, man. Fun times for us.
Yeah, we talk about like being able to just watch as people all get their credit and stuff like that. Same can be said for Gym of the Year, which, you know, we're always a bit like, it's a weird one because on one hand, you know that everyone is just going to vote for the gym that they're a part of on our social media, which is fair enough, or their local gym or whatever. At the same time, to scroll through and see so many of the UK talent voting for their own gym, but also, you know, it isn't just like 2 or 3 gyms, it's every nominee that we put forward have got the fighters voting for their gym and stuff like that, was incredible to see. Like, you can literally just scroll through it and see all the people representing their gyms. And this was another one that came, this was the other one that I was on about when I said it came right down to the wire. Wasn't this one vote?
Yeah, this is one, but this is what I counted 10 times, honestly, and then I had other people count to make sure. And this was heavy, man. This was a heavy vote. We had 23 other nominations as well put through for gyms. I was thinking, is there even that many gyms in England? I had to Google some, man. Honestly, I was like, what the hell is going on? But shout out to Fearless MMA. They weren't on the graphic, but they got a lot of votes. They had a few on Instagram, I believe, but they had a lot on the survey. So shout out to Fearless. Obviously, Jake Hadley, Andy Yates, all of the man, then they're doing mad things. So yeah, keep an eye on Fearless. But the top 2 was close, but I think it's worth giving up a shout in third place to him again, Shaw MMA. And they've had a mint year, and I mean, I'd put them to win any other year. Do you know what I mean? They've had such a good year. Oban getting his UFC contract. Brett Johns is back fighting on PFL. He looks like he's going to get on a season next year. Levi Bachelor, they've got so much young talent coming through, which is like actually like you need to take notice of now. This is why I didn't dare do an amateur award, because honestly, Shaw MMA would probably come and put me in a headlock if their whole gym wasn't on it. There's so much talent at that gym. And at the others, but yeah, shout out to Shaw MMA. It was a close one, but I'll let you say about the other 2, Kyle. Whew.
Well, initially, I knew that it would be one of the ones that would probably, you know, because it's one of the bigger names, you expect it to finish, you know, top 3 or top 4. But I wouldn't have predicted that Next Gen in Liverpool would have finished second. I just didn't see it coming. But they've had a fantastic year. Of course, we always talk about that kind of, they're in a great position where they have that crop of talent who have been there and done it now, where you've got Molly and Paddy both in the UFC and kind of helping to usher through some of the younger guys, you know, the guys in Cage Warriors, Luke Riley, Nathan Fletcher, Adam Cullen, Shem as well. Like, they just have such a good unit right now of people in and around that gym.
Don't forget Liam Gittins. Don't forget Big Gittins. Sorry.
Gittins, of course. Like, incredible year across the board for those guys. So, I just didn't expect it. But then to see that it came right down to the wire by 1 point, I thought Team Renegade was going to have quite a significant lead. But, you know, fair play to everyone representing Next Gen for making that close, because Team Renegade, I think, you know, is probably the one that everyone thought was going to win. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say it was the consensus favorite, but Next Gen making it close. Fair play to those guys for showing up for their gym, man. That's crazy that it came down to 1 point. But I know that you threw it to me to name the 2 final 2 in this award, but I'm gonna get you to talk about Team Renegade, Cauley, as even though I live not that far away from Team Renegade, you're the Renegade expert of the 3 of us as a big champion of some of their fighters.
Just let me keep stroking my beard majestically, because it looks good. I'm telling you now, it looks good. But no, what a year, man. I mean, straight out, I'll talk about one of my favorite fighters. Tim fucking Wild has had a wild year. So big up Tim Wild. After that big showing, his last fight was in America, wasn't it? I'm sure it was, but I'm just gonna look for my fact checkers now to make sure I'm not making a tit of myself. I thought it was. I think he's going to keep making big waves, especially with the PFL purchase. I think we're going to see him in. I think it would be a disservice to see that man in a Europe season. I want to see him in a main season, tested against these guys, and I think he'll fare good. Give Tim Wild that shot, Don Davis and Peter Murray. Give him the shot. I'll stop advocating now. Matty Byfield, great talent. He's had another great year. He missed out on his title shot at the end of the year, but shit happens. We'll see him get that shot again this year against Andy Clamp, and that'll be fun to watch. Oh my God, Leon. I mean, Leon's had an okay year, hasn't he? I mean, defended the UFC welterweight title of the world. You know, just a little year. But again, Leon championing the UK through. I think. I know he's not at Renegade, but I think it's worth shouting out Tom Aspinall as well, just because those two defending and winning a title, it's elevated the sport, and I think we're going to see more guys get into the gyms because of that. Mohammed Shazli had even though he lost early in the year, he had a lot of cancellations towards the back end of the year, and he was one of our regional pros last year, and I think he's still worth watching. Mohammed Shazli is a great talent that we should all keep our eyes on. Shea Ingram as well, big talent. Keep your eye on him. Fabian Edwards as well. I could go on. Lexi Rooks had a great year as well. She's been really turning up in the women's divisions. I'm shutting up. I've spoke for about 2 minutes and 29 seconds now. But yeah, shout out to Renegade, man. Great year. Big up Dave Lavelle and all the man there. They've done really good, man. And regionally, they've smashed it regionally. I'm not going to go in anymore. I'm shutting up.
They've also obviously been a part of Arnold Allen's training camps quite a lot throughout 2023.
I think both Figlacks have gone as well. Both the Matt and Mike Figlack. It's
CLD as well.
Yep,
everyone wants to go there, which is it kind of boosts this. Them getting this award even more. When you look at, I mean, there's controversy there, but Ian Gary was there, right? Arnold's done a lot there in these last couple of years. It's things like that.
Has Veronica Hardy been training there as well? Sorry to cut in there, Steve.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Just shows that it's so much talent, man.
I mean, there's a reason so many people want to go there, and it is these guys that Cauley's just been rattling off for the last couple of minutes, and that's really why they're worthy winners in this category.
Yeah, as much as there is incredible talent across all of these gyms that we mentioned, Renegade is the one that, you know, people put a spotlight on, not just in the UK, but across the world. I think when, you know, it does feel a little bit like a lot of the best talent in the UK eventually find themselves there, even if it's just for a short stint. You know, it is the one that people go to be like, I don't know, it feels like it has that pedigree behind it now that some of the big gyms in America have, where it's like, you go there, you get better, simple as, right? So Team Renegade, incredibly deserving.
I do think... but again, we were talking about the growth, right? You mentioned that 23 gyms got votes.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. I thought there's no way.
It shows the levels of UK MMA.
It's
right now.
It's amazing, man. It's also worth shouting out. So go and see.
We haven't even mentioned places like GB Top Team, Shoot Fighters.
That's who I was going to mention. I was going to say a big shout out to GB Top Team. I forgot to mention as well in the chat. They lost third place by 1 vote to Shore MMA, which... I mean, Ash and Brad Pickett, I mean, I don't need to waffle on anymore, but the team they've got there is like Avengers Assemble. Do you know what I mean? It's the Fantastic Four, it's X-Men, they're all combined there. Do you know what I mean? Phenomenal year. And they've got some talent going to be going pro this year. So keep your eye on Top Team. Keep your eye on GB Top Team.
The category was so stacked that we haven't even mentioned the fact that Dylan Took himself told us that if it wasn't higher level, then the whole thing's a fix. So
shit, sorry, Dylan.
Maybe this doesn't even count. And also, it's been so good that you guys said about the fact that we hadn't nominated one of the gyms close to my heart, Trojan Free Fires, and I was like, I don't know if we can. That's how good this thing is. I wasn't even able to find a way in for Trojan or for Range, the home of CLD. That's how good this category was this year, although I'm sure they were part of that 23. But either way,
everyone gets a shout, but
absolutely. A big category fight of the year. This was tough. If there's one thing that I really regret from the awards that we picked out this year, it is in this category. I feel like there was one which we really slept on. It just slipped through the cracks somehow, but we managed to acknowledge it somewhere else. So we'll get to that later. But three incredible fights from the UFC, despite the fact, we had the 2 events this year. And the fact that we had 3 to pick from those 2 events is great on its own. Is there anything you guys want to say about those 3 fights we had in the UFC? Because I suppose I feel like people know already that the winner of this award was not in the UFC.
Yeah, no, I'm good. As you know, I'm the UFC's #1 fan, so I don't want to be waffling for another 30 minutes, about some of my.
I'll tell you what, if people are watching this and they don't, from me saying that it wasn't in the UFC, if people are watching this and they don't know what fight I'm alluding to, go and watch it, because Nathaniel Wood versus Andre Fili was an incredible fight, and the fact that there was a better fight on UK soil than that this year is ridiculous, because that fight is amazing. And yet there was only going to be one winner, I think.
Yeah.
Luke Riley versus Alexander Luff is one of the best fights I've ever seen from Cage Warriors. It's one of the best fights of the year, period, across the board, not just on UK soil. And I went back and rewatched it to write the article on it, and that fight is absolutely ridiculous. There's a bit in that fight that I didn't pick up on the first time I watched it. In the second round, when Luke Riley gets, dropped and nearly finished about 5 times, and then hangs on and is able to recover. And there's a bit where he gets back to his feet, and Luff kind of backs up and looks a bit tired. And Luke Riley has blood smeared on his face, and it's like a half Joker Chelsea smile. And he just starts walking him down, and it is incredible. Like, even sat watching it, months gone by since that night in Manchester, I still want to just stand up and cheer. Like, it is incredible, that fight, and everyone should watch that fight.
Everyone should watch that fight. That's a modern classic. And again, shout out to Cage Warriors. Shout out to Ian Dean mainly for just being a magical man with the matchmaking. Like, I don't know what part of his soul he sold to the devil to make these fights for us, but we have to give him something back, because this man gives us banger after banger. And what I love the most about Cage Warriors is, please don't anyone watching be offended, but to turn someone just starting like a nobody in MMA, basically someone who's just training, they've got nothing behind them really, to turn them into the stars that they do, and get everyone like us talking about them. Just unreal, man. I couldn't have told you who Alexander Luth was before he joined Cage Warriors. Now he's in my top 10 of favorite fighters. You know what I mean? So big up Cage Warriors, man. And big up Luke Riley.
You mentioned it there. Cage Warriors do a really good job of creating stars for the level of promotion they are. Think of regional promotions all around the world. Let's say lightweight, for example. George Hardwick is going to be a bigger star than most lightweight champions in other regional organizations.
Definitely.
That's a credit to this matchmaking, but it's also the production, the media, just everything that goes into this promotion. So, it all comes together. Cage Warriors, and obviously the fight of the year there with Riley and Luth. Incredible fight, but just all around, they've had a great year as always.
And I'm not going to be biased here because I'm a very unbiased person, but fucking Cage Warriors is the go. Fucking come on, Cage Warriors.
The thing that
any venues, I'll do anything for you. Just ask, baby. Cauley's always here for you.
The thing I love about this one in particular is that, we always talk about Cage Warriors and how well it builds these guys up, but it doesn't build them up to become stars by just having them have highlight reel finishes and stuff. Like Luke Riley, has had some crazy fights this year, but Alexander Luth was another guy that people were really excited about.
Definitely.
That's, I think, the best thing about this fight is not only was it incredible, but it was 2 guys that are legitimately, highly touted. And, you could easily say, let's not have them fight because they might meet later on down the line and you don't want to jeopardize either of them's trajectory. But no,
a lot of
both
promotions
undefeated
would
records.
say that. A lot of promotions
2 undefeated guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for me, that's what I love about Cage Warriors. It's not it is how good you are, but your skill set is matched with someone else's skill set. It doesn't matter how much hype or shit talk you do. You are matched skill wise, and that's why you see such clashes of excellence. Mwah, bellissima. So yeah, big up Cage Warriors. Big up Luke Riley. Sorry, this is the Luke Riley's award is won, and Alexander Louv. So big up those two. I'm so sorry for taking that away from you.
But you mentioned specifically Luke Riley. There are other Luke Riley fights that could be nominated. I'm sure.
So many
this year and other years.
So many. He's had more Fight of the Year contenders than most fighters, and he's only how many fights in his career. Do you know what I mean? It's a heavy one, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the fact we could have nominated 2 of them easily. Like, at one stage, I was pretty sure we were gonna. And that is why in the article in the chat that I had with Brad Wharton like a month or so ago, Luke Riley is Cage Warriors' own best belt machine. You stick him on a card, I'm gonna tune in because it's gonna be the best thing I watch that night.
Oh, definitely. He's just so game. I was gonna carry on then for ages, but I'm gonna shush. But he's just so game, isn't he, man? He just doesn't care. He's in there, bang bang, bing bong.
If he's the best bout machine, you could say he's gonna clean up these Fight of the Year awards in the next few years.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think we'll see him in the UFC this year if he carries on how he is. I know it's a bit of a big shot, but end of the year, I really do. Contender series, shot, I don't care what it is. I think we'll see some, or we'll be smelling. He'll be having that phone will be ringing at the end of the year, and no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. That'd be absolutely incredible. Yeah. Can't wait to see what's next for Luke Riley and Alexander Louv, who again we've pointed out multiple times. Even if you didn't know him, this is one of the things I said about Cage Warriors, which, you know, this isn't the first time we're going to talk about Cage Warriors on this podcast. The matchmaking is so good that even when a guy, Luke Riley obviously came out on top in this fight, but as we'll get to later, even when some of your favorite fighters lose in Cage Warriors, the fights are always so well matched that you come away a fan of the other guy because you go, bloody hell, he must be good to beat that guy. So, yeah, this fight was a perfect example of that. Submission of the year. This was similar to Luke Riley with his Fight of the Year nominees. There was a fighter who actually had 2 in this category. Mohamed Mokaev's 2 wins, both deserving of credit for Submission of the Year. And also, I really, when you guys said about it, and then we went back and watched it, that submission from Luke Trainer, you mentioned it, Cauley, I think before we started recording, that it got a pretty decent amount of votes, which was really cool to see because, you know, it might be one that people just scroll past because they go, I didn't see that one, whatever. But for him to get that submission against that level of opponent was really, really impressive.
In it, I think people underestimate a rear naked choke as well. Like that when you're fighting the hands and you're doing all that, it's not as easy, man. It's an art. You know what I mean? So I think we need to shout out rear naked chokes more. It's not just as easy as going. But I just have to clarify as well. Luke Trainer did not submit me. I am still undefeated. 0-0. It was Sullivan Cauley defeated. You know, my record is still intact. If anyone wants it, you can have it. But I have tennis elbow 365 days a year, so I am not athletically fit to compete. But yeah, Luke Trainer got a lot of votes, man. Luke Trainer got a lot of votes, and he sent a few love arts to us on DM, so I think he appreciated the nomination. But it was well deserved, man. It was well deserved. So big up Luke Trainer, man. Big up Luke.
I want to touch on Cauley for a second, and I mean Sullivan Cauley.
Thank God. I was going to say, Steve, I'm not ready for this.
he was getting the Bellator prospect treatment before that fight.
Yeah.
He was getting favorable matchups. He was a guy that they plucked straight from wrestling. He was getting those favorable matchups on the prelims. And he was a favorite to beat Luke Trainer. You need to remember that as well.
A big favorite
Luke went in there and he submitted the guy who was favored to take him down to the ground.
I love seeing UK guys beat good wrestlers from America because it just shows like we are good at it. Do you know what I mean? We are good at wrestling and the grappling game. But yeah, Luke Trainer's a monster. Big up London Shoot fighters as well, man. London Shoot, do you know what I mean? Wait, he's not at London Shoot, is he?
No.
He's not. No, he's
I think is he mainly GB Top Team?
I think he is. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've said that because I'm literally looking at something of Darren Stewart on my screen as we speak. I don't know why. Oh my God.
One of the things I love is the the show of appreciation from Cauley for the rear naked choke finish that maybe it doesn't get the respect that it deserves. When our winner of this award is the furthest thing from a submission that we need to spotlight for being like, yeah, maybe it gets slept on how impressive it is. Because when Davey Grant locked up that submission, everyone was like, get out of here. There's no way he's done that. And absolutely, like, could have nominated this one finish for multiple awards, realistically. If we had more categories, it probably would have won more awards. That's how impressive this submission was. Like, one of the best submissions of the year, period, which always, puts it in pretty high estimations to win.
Honestly, I think that's a top 10 for the decade. Maybe I might be pushing it there a bit. I might be pushing it, but I really like that submission.
Yeah, I don't know if UFC have done their UFC honors yet, but that's gonna be right up there.
It's gotta be, man. Gotta be. Such a slick submission. And shout out Davey Grant. He just got a fight booked today as well, or announced today anyway, against I am the worst man in humankind. Let me just go on our Twitter account, VMTV. If you'd like to go and give us a follow, I would very much appreciate it. You lovely people. He's got Cody Gibson on March the 23rd at the...
That's not what the Twitter account is, by the way, Cauley.
Oh, and it's Violent Money TV. Isn't it? Don't know what I said.
Yeah, you said VMTV.
Silly me. Can't say that 'cause it's Virgin Media TV, apparently. Fucking, that's what they are. Bunch of virgin. But yeah, Cody Gibson, March 23rd at the UFC Apex. You heard
That's a
it
great
here.
fight. I didn't even know about that. That's a great fight.
That's why you should look on the Twitter that you work for, Kyle. Like, come on, man. Come on. But no, yeah, it's a good fight, that. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, big up, Big Davey. And I love the video of him having a fight and then going to a wedding like the day after and diving into the crowd surfing. I love that video. Big up Davey, man. Top lad.
My Davey Grant story will always be at UFC, one of the London cards, after a weigh-in, seeing him pour out of a pub, which I won't name because they're not paying us, but coming out of a pub with like a bunch of guys doing like a conga line behind him, shouting, "There's only one Davey Grant." That's forever going to be my Davey Grant memory.
I love that. I love that. We need to go we need to go for a session with some fighters and just record the night. I think it'd be a right laugh. Go for a pint with Oban Elliott.
Sounds like
I think
excellent content.
Ball. It does. It does. Do you know what I mean? 10 shots, 10 questions with whoever. Like, we've got to do a shot, a question. I think that'd be banging, that. But let's move my alcoholism to the side.
Yeah. This will be like a spin-off series of the MMA trivia.
On our 18+ channel.
It might just turn into which fighter from the Midlands does Cauley want to have a drink with. But we'll
from
see.
anywhere.
Spoilers. It's Tim Wilde.
Hey, be a tough one. Him and Aidan Lee. It'd be a tough one.
Okay, promotion of the year. Again, some really great stuff from some of these promotions this year. So it was exciting to just look through and see all these people nominated and all of the fighters showing the promotion some love and stuff like that. The thing I wrote about in the written piece for this was that our eventual winner that I said we would come back to talking about, Cage Warriors, faced some tough tasks this year that I don't think they have faced before. The two most notable ones being the fact that there's been an increased presence of MMA shows in the UK this year from a couple of different promotions, plus 2 trips from the UFC, and the fact that the UFC's appetite for signing fighters and the other promotions around them it got crazy around like the halfway point of the year where fighters were just being snapped up. We were talking about who are going to be the next wave of Cage Warriors headliners and all this stuff. And yet the second half of the year, their run of events was just as stellar as the first run. So quality and quantity as well this year, I think, was a big thing for Cage Warriors. It feels like they were so active in 2023. And of course, the quality never dips with them.
No. Now, I'm gonna play Jake for a second here because if any of these promotions wants beef, then bring the ruckus because Cage Warriors is not the one to fuck with, gentlemen. And like you said there, Kyle, everyone's been poaching Cage Warriors, UFC, Octagon, PFL. Everyone's been looking at Cage Warriors going, give me your stars because you have them all and we can't do anything without you, basically. Being a bit sly to PFL Europe there. They've got a good setup and I like PFL Europe. So shout out you guys. I love you all so much. But yeah.
Shout out Dan Hardy generally.
Yeah, I actually really like PFL Europe, and I don't think they've actually poached any Cage Warriors guys. I think they've done really well, but yeah, other guys have just been coming in relentlessly on them, and I think for them to lose big stars and keep pushing the product and nothing's changed, they've steamrolled through. They've signed new prospects who next year will be saying, "Oh my God, have you heard about Damon Donald, Tom Burton, Alexandros Moontes, Tommy Big Things Brunning, baby?" We'll be talking about all these guys next year, saying how they're big names, the big fights they've done, and it's like they'll have only been in the promotion a year. That's what I love about them. Spend a year in Cage Warriors, and everyone in the UK will have heard of you, UK MMA fan, and that's a credit to everything that they do there. So shout out to the man them inside.
Yeah, I forgot this award was coming up. I realized I jumped the gun talking about Cage Warriors during that the Fight of the Year award. I was talking about but all around the production as well. The shows are great shows. They're great live show. The experience, all around, man. And like you said, they've lost a lot of guys this year. And I mean, we saw just the other day 12 new guys. I think they're having to rebuild that roster, which is where things like the Fight Academy and the Academy shows. They all pay big for Cage Warriors when it comes to having to rebuild this roster. Like there's a lot of guys, and I think Kyle, the show we went to, wasn't a load of super established Cage Warriors guys on that card. A lot of it was these new proper guys, and it was an incredible show.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to when I said about it earlier. Like Cage Warriors at this point have that reputation with them to where even when the card doesn't jump out at you, right? We go to that event that me and Steve went to in London, and when you're looking at the big names there, of course, you had like Will Curry who got a big win and stuff like that, but ultimately we were looking at it going, Emil Brown could be the new guy. He could bring Cage Warriors back to Birmingham, maybe. He could be the next guy that goes to the UFC who has a lot of hype behind him and stuff like that. And he doesn't win that fight. He gets beaten by Giannis Picard, but you have that, because you have that faith in Cage Warriors that that whoever he's fighting is going to be worthy of that shot. When you see Giannis Picard knock out Emil Brown, you go, that guy is good. He's not going to be around for much longer if he just did that to Emil Brown, because the quality is always there. You don't have to second guess Cage Warriors, despite, like I said, them having some challenges this year. Like KSW continue to seemingly put on the biggest events of all time every year. And PFL Europe, I think at the start, we had our criticisms of it, but I don't think you can deny that every event, it seemed to get better and better.
I mean, you can genuinely argue that the moment of the year in MMA came in PFL Europe with that Dembele knockout.
PFL Paris, I know we're saying Cage Warriors is the event of the year, and it is, but PFL Paris was my card of the year, honestly. What an event. And it just shows you from that first... last year, even I keep saying last year, obviously 2023 in it, but like when they first did the UK expansion and like you guys went to Wales and London for the shows, like we saw what was happening there, and just seeing that level of progress they've made with each show is amazing. And I think that's a credit to Dan Hardy locking it down at Fighter Operations. He has took that and made it his baby, and I'm really excited to see where PFL Europe go. I'm also heartbroken Dan Hardy isn't on the comms for Cage Warriors with our Brad and Josh anymore. That is also heart-wrenching. We move on.
All right, fair enough.
Also, sorry, very quickly though, shout out Octagon. They've done big things this year and like coming to the UK and just putting on like shows in the AO and like doing the Utilita in Newcastle and stuff like that. Big shows. They've got good talent signed up, so like it's exciting times all around. Really, the more opportunities for UK fighters, the better, and we've got more options than ever now. So that's what we want. It's what we've wanted for ages, and now we've got it.
I mean, it seems like every few days they're signing a UK guy. We just got Mick Stanton there. I think Scott Askham just signed with them too.
Yeah, he signed from KSW.
Matt Bonner, obviously, before the last card. There's a lot of guys from the UK specifically.
I know Karolina Wojcik's Polish, but she's just signed today as well.
Yeah,
She's a great
addition. That's a great signing.
Yeah, there's some good talent going there.
The thing that I think they deserve credit for the most is that, like, we all knew that when they announced that Manchester show, the Manchester Rio, were like, oh, that's a big one to live up to. And it doesn't feel like that was very long ago at all. And they've got another show right around the corner. So
Yeah.
the consistency of like them just keeping it up, like you said, signing fighters constantly, putting on these shows. Can't argue with it.
That's what I'm so impressed with, especially with like how the ticket sales did in Manchester. I think they only sold like just over 4,000 tickets, and I don't know what the Newcastle one's looking like, but obviously they've got the streaming partners and stuff like that, so I'm not like shitting on them. Like, but to sell that many tickets and still be going to these big venues, it shows that they've got an eye for growth and that they've got a plan to do something and they're sticking to it. So like, fair plays to them. Like, the UK landscape is there, but
I
Cage
think
Warriors, unfortunately,
when I spoke to Brian Lacey all that time ago, I don't even remember when that interview came out, a good few months ago. I was like, oh, is this going to be kind of like a one-off test the waters thing? And he was like, no, this is just the first step of many. And they proved it. Like they doubled down. So fair play to them.
And with Octagon, I do want to touch on the celebrity thing a little bit quick, right? We obviously, a lot of what they did in the UK this year was built around Paul Smith and Jake Quickerton, right? And we all saw that fight. We saw how that went. But it's something different that, I mean, in Poland, that's like the celebrity MMA is like a big thing. There's like a fame MMA promotion.
Yeah.
Here, that's not really been tried. So not just this, but they're going outside the box in this country. And they're trying new things to try and get an audience. And it worked because I was at my Christmas dinner. I told you this story last week. And my uncle, who has no interest in MMA, but knows Paul Smith from like comedy. And he was like, oh, did you see his fight the other week? And I'm like, yeah. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what they're trying to do with that.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where they go next year. I'm excited to see what this Channel 4 deal does, because I know PFL had it, didn't they? And then it flopped after the year. So, I'm excited to see what goes on with it, because they've got the Zone as well. They've got the Zone, they've got Octagon TV, they've got Channel 4, they've got so many like ways to watch it. So I'm excited, man. We'll see what they do.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, we talk about how many fighters they've signed from the UK. They've got some people that we absolutely love watching and chatting to as well. So that's the way to get us on board. You know, you carry on booking some of those guys in fights, and we'll tune. I'll watch Jack Cartwright fight a plastic bag. So put him on a show. No. I'm in.
Obviously, George Danes, who we talked about earlier as well.
Yeah. Arguably, you know, the best like investment that they've put in for the whole UK scene was getting George Danes and putting him on that show. So fair play to them. Breakthrough of the year. I think that when I wrote about this, I kind of defined it as VM's version of most improved fighter without it. That kind of puts the emphasis on skill set, and I don't think we wanted to focus on that necessarily. That is part of it, but it's also just who had the biggest jump and kind of really cemented themselves as a major player in the UK MMA scene when they might have been under the radar before. The four people that we put forward, I think all of them so deserving of praise. So we will go through all of them. But let's talk about the winner of this award. Chris the Problem Duncan has been a guy that we've had eyes on for a long time. You know, that run in Bellator that he put together. And as I put in the written piece, his Contender Series performances were a lot of fun. So we expected when he came into the UFC, we were like, oh, you're going to get some barn burners out of Chris Duncan. But the reason he's Breakthrough Fighter of the Year is because he's won 2 fights in the lightweight division this year in the UFC without needing to use that, without needing to throw caution to the wind and bite down in his gum shield and just swing it out with some of those guys. And I'm sure that fight with Terrence McKinney that he had booked probably would have delivered that. Ooh. But, you know, we didn't get that fight. But the fact that he got 2 wins and he didn't need to do that, I didn't see that coming. And, you know, for him to be 2-0 in the UFC's lightweight division, especially that second win of Yanal Ashmouz was seriously impressive. And I think that we're seeing Chris Duncan level up each time that we see him. And so to be doing that at the highest level in the UFC's lightweight division, incredibly impressive.
No, I agree, man. He's had such good performances, and he's back again, isn't he? At UFC Mexico against Manuel Torres, so that's a good fight to see there. Hopefully, the McKinney fight's back after that. I hope. But no, man, yeah, I think Chris Duncan's well deserving. I mean, we were all big fans of him before he signed fully to the UFC, but his 2 performances I think he put on were proper, like, that's the level we expect from him. And not even that, I think it shows he's got a high ceiling and he's nowhere near it yet. And I can't wait to see where he actually goes from there. It's mad to see how he was before he went to America to train, and now how he is now he's gone to America to train. It just shows the level changes there, and good for him, man. I hope he smashes it. I hope he absolutely smashes it. And yeah, I know he's been a big supporter of VM for a long time as well. Since we started, he's always had time for us. So it's good to see the fans show a bit of love, and obviously we'll always show Chris Duncan love, man. It's the problem, for God's sake.
Yeah, that Manuel Torres fight is going to be wild too, right? Manuel Torres, nothing but first round finishes for him in the UFC.
At UFC Mexico as well, it's going to be wild, man.
The crowd's going to be wild. But if there's anyone who's going to take that shot and keep coming, it's Chris Duncan.
100%, man. That I think that's mint matchmaking, that, because he doesn't give a fuck, Chris Duncan. He's going to go in full Highlander gear. He's going to go in on the war path, bro. I can't wait. Such good matchmaking. Big shout out, though, to Liam Gittins and Mick Parkin as well. Big shout out to them. Liam Gittins had a standout year in Cage Warriors. Was it undefeated with a few finishes?
Yeah, definitely undefeated.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm recalling half drunk now, so like you'll have to bear with me on my factual check-in. But yeah, Liam had an absolutely mint year. I can't even believe I haven't said his name first. Big up Oban Elliott, man.
We'll get to Oban in a minute because he relates to the next award.
Yeah.
But yeah. You talk about breakthrough. Liam Gittins is like definition of a breakthrough, right? A guy that we've all known for a long time, who's been sat around in these rankings and picking up wins, and then vacant title fight comes his way. It was supposed to be his teammate. It's not even the weight class he's been fighting at, and he steps up and puts on probably the best performance of his career, I would say, just because of how high we all rate Reece McEwen. And what an incredible year for him. And Mick Parkin, I think you could say a lot of similar things to what we've said about Chris Duncan. Like, to get 2 wins in the UFC and fight technically, it's just like this guy is going up levels every single time we see him.
My missus actually said the best thing to me the other day. She went, Mick Parkin's getting a Breakthrough Fighter of the Year award. I was like, yeah. And she was like, why? And I was like, because he's in the UFC. He's done this, he's done that. I said, fucking you an expert for all of a sudden. And she went, because he was in Cage Steel the other week. Because obviously he's fought on Cage Steel like other promotions, hasn't he? And obviously, I won't talk about Cage Steel. But no, I thought it was a mad little jump in it. Like, Cage Steel 1 minute, now he's a big prospect in the UFC heavyweight division. It's such a mad jump in it. Like, it's not even a long time either. So like, I'm really hot on Mick Parkin. And even though him and Aspinall train together, I feel like I don't even know, man. I don't even know. I feel like those two could be in range to fight each other while they're both active.
Didn't you pick him in our end of year games? Didn't you pick him as the next UK fighter to win a UFC title?
I think I might have done. I forgot about Tom Aspinall.
You did.
I think I did. But I love Mick Parkin, top talent. Team Fish Tank again in Sunderland, man. Just have killers, bro. They just have killers, man. Andrew Fisher and I'm not sure if his wife runs it with him as well, but shout out to them, man. Great talents.
Yeah, I want to touch on sorry.
No, that's what I was going to say, and obviously shout out to my main man, Phil DeFries.
I was gonna go back on Gittins for a second, because like when you look at his career, it looks like something like flipped at the start of the year, or it was the end of 2022 when he got finished. But before that, he's a 500 fighter, right? He wins one, he loses one, he wins one, he loses one. Then, first round finish, end of 2022, 2 first round finishes in 2023, and then gets the belt. Like that's a breakthrough to me.
Yeah. Definitely. Especially over Reece McEwen.
The interesting thing with all of them is that they're all on this list because we saw them get wins through like skill. Like, I feel like all of them, we saw them go, like, we know that all of the guys on this list can bite down on their gum shields and just throw if they need to, and they will give any opponent hell if they need to. However, all of them, like the best technical performances of their careers, all of them getting wins without having to produce Fight of the Year contenders. Well, one of them did produce a Fight of the Year contender, but as I said, we'll get to him in a minute. Because maybe my favorite comment of putting these awards up on social media was
Oh God,
the main man, Oban Elliott, saying that he votes for Liam Gittins because he can't qualify for this award. He is not a fighter. He is a gangster. Enough said.
Gangster of the Year, Oban Elliott. I'll make you a graphic, Oban. I will make you a graphic. Like, and I'm not being funny. What's more gangster than saying that? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's all I need anyway. I don't know about you two, but I'm happy with that.
Very excited to see him back in there in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Man,
cannot wait.
Oban.
Speaking of Oban Elliott, we didn't do a vote or anything for this award because we just decided that it was the right thing to do to credit this team for what they've done in 2023. Our Outstanding Achievement of the Year award went to Shaw MMA. I don't want to dive into this one too much. I will say that, again, there are written pieces out on the majority of these awards, so you can check that out because I speak a little bit more about it in depth. But to list off a few things, the amateur talent they've got coming through right now that Cauley has already spoken about is fantastic. When you look at the big names in their gym, they've all delivered. I think Reese McEwen, of course, he had that loss to Liam Gittins, but now that he's kind of got a second home at Shaw MMA, I think he'll be back better than ever next year. Jack coming back, going up a weight class, taking out Amir Khani. Brett Johns coming into PFL Europe and making everyone question how it's taken so long for a major promotion to snap him up as one of the best fighters in Europe right now. Ridiculous. And Oban Elliott, I mean, I feel like at this point he is VM's, he is the mascot for VMTV at this point. He's always shows up for us, always gives us his time. Is always incredibly entertaining to have on. He sat and watched fights with us. He's done trivia. He's shown us his new car. He's done everything that we would possibly ask. And somehow, because of his Contender Series fight, it just didn't. I don't think it jumped into any of our memories. But a Fight of the Year contender with Kate Brito as well. One of the most gutsy performances I have ever seen from a UK fighter to survive that fight.
I just want to apologise to Oban, to Richard Shaw, and to the whole Shaw MMA team for not putting him on the graphic for that Fight of the Year with Oban and Kate Brito, because that was next level, and that was an oversight of ours, and I am eternally sorry. And I would send you a box of chocolates, but cost of living crisis, it's heavy these ways, man. But I am so sorry. I am so sorry, and we will not do that again. I feel like Nick Clegg apologising now. Do you remember that time we had to apologise on the side? I'm sorry. I feel like him now.
You're wearing the suit for it.
I know, yeah. That's why I wore the suit, out of respect for Oban and Shaw MMA for disrespecting them. I'm so sorry. But
now, if you want to see Oban at his best, you need to, on this channel, go to the live stream that myself and Jake did with him. Incredible.
Hi.
I think, honestly, apart from the nights where Leon defended his titles, where Tom won the interim belt, one of my favorite nights watching MMA in 2023 was that Contender Series fight for Oban. Not just the performance and the fight itself, but everything about it, the story, everything was just incredible. Getting the contract.
He looks so happy as well when he wins the contract as well. You're so made up for him, aren't you? Just go on. If there's any fighter currently signed to the UFC, I want the world to fall at his lap. It's Oban Elliott, man. He deserves it so much. He's just such a normal guy.
Yeah.
He could. Sorry, go on. I'll go off.
No, you carry on, because I'm gonna end the award on this. So if there's anything else,
I was just gonna say he could win a UFC world title tomorrow, and he would literally be like, "Come for a pint then in me pub." Do you know what I mean? In his eye-viz, he's not arsed. He's just a top lad. So, big up Oban. And maybe you should go for a pint with him, Kyle. Maybe one time we'll get a little interview in the pub.
Yeah, that would be fun. It would be chaotic, but it would be fun. The final thing I guess to touch.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if this is what you were going to end on, Kyle, but obviously you talk about the fighters from Shaw MMA. There's obviously the personal stuff, which is well documented. as well. I assume that's probably what you're going to come on to now, Kyle. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a huge part of it as well.
Yeah.
Again, we don't need to dive too much into it. I didn't in the written piece either because it's not really our story to tell. But for some of those guys to have huge fights and difficult times, with Brett not knowing what he's going to be doing, and Oban fighting on the Contender Series, and Jack moving up a weight class, all these big things happening at the gym, to have all of that going on whilst they had their own battles to fight outside of the gym, behind closed doors, all that stuff. That post-fight speech from Jack Shaw, the way that they you see the team mentality that they have, the way they all look out for each other, was incredible to see this year. So that is, I think, equally as deserving as some of the incredible performances that those guys have put on throughout this year.
Richard
Shaw, we wanted to give it that.
Richard Shaw is the flag bearer of Welsh MMA, man. He is the glue at the moment. I think he's doing so much for the scene there to help it grow. So deserving, man.
And just like that, we are back with another award nomination for Chanel Dyer, because it is time to talk about Female Fighter of the Year.
Oh, this was horrible to do, I didn't like this one.
We had Chanel Dyer nominated for a third award. We also had Melissa Dixon nominated. Has Melissa Dixon got a different surname? I might have messed that up.
No,
I think
it was Melissa Mullins, wasn't it?
It confuses. Yeah. It confuses me.
I think she's going by Mullins now.
Yeah. Oh, is it not Dixon now?
I am not.
I thought it was Dixon.
I just remember seeing it on social
was
media.
Mullins, and she's changed it to Dixon. I'm sure.
Maybe we should edit this out.
No, it was definitely Dixon, and she's changed from Mullins 100%. It used to be
Mullins. It's still Mullins on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh God, I might be wrong then.
No, Dixon is her married name, but
okay. Well, I think
that's why I'm saying we should probably edit this bit out.
I feel like we could leave this in because we've justified why it's confusing. So
we're a transparent podcast. We're transparent.
We apologize for getting that wrong, but you can see why we're confused because we've got two different answers at the same time. But
Melissa, you were this close. You were that close, and I could do it any closer. That's how close you were. It was so close. It was criminally close, this one.
Yeah, another one that came right down to the wire.
Right down. It was not good, man. It was not good to count. It was good to count. It was exciting, man, but then you get a bit like, ooh, an ahs, and yeah. But I think the winner definitely deserving.
I think you'll find when we did our UK MMA draft about a year ago now, one of us picked her and the other three, or at least a couple of you, weren't super familiar with her. So I'm taking credit for being ahead of the curve on this one.
Yeah, deservedly so.
Yeah. But no, she obviously made a UFC debut, big win. Yeah.
Talk to me about our Melissa. I've been watching her in Golden Ticket. Not Willy Wonka either. But shout out John Prentice as well. Great commentator for Golden Ticket Fight Promotions if you're ever watching that regionally. But yeah, there you go. Nice little cheeky plug. I'm good, me. But yeah, man.
There was competition. There was competition for this one. We of course had GB Top Team's Kate Bassick in there as well. As the fourth. Well, I say the fourth nominee. I haven't announced who the winner is yet. Because even though it was competitive this year, we all knew coming into this year it was going to take some effort from one of the other female fighters to beat Dakota Ditcheva. Like, we all knew. You looked at that PFL bracket and you were like, yeah, she's probably going to win Female Fighter of the Year because she's probably going to win this tournament in pretty impressive fashion. And whilst I think that, if there was a close competitor to her, you could say that we kind of knew that she would win that tournament from the moment it was put together. But at the same time, the performances in the tournament, I feel like, speak for themselves. Like, they weren't just devastating finishes. They were dominant victories. She got her first mission win this year. And that performance in the final, that first round, just demolition over Skititsi was crazy to see. And also, I know that this doesn't really come into typical kind of fight of the year awards, but if you want to talk about outside the cage, her profile under the PFL banner this year has shot up massively. Like when you talk about the person who embodied UK MMA in the like just general public eye this year, she's the clear front runner for female like fighters. Like it's been crazy to watch.
They've done an incredible job of marketing her. And I go back to a while back when like she first debuted with PFL, and I was at a KSI weigh-in and she was there. And she was just hanging around and like doing interviews at a KSI weigh-in. And that's just the start. She's obviously doing things with Man City a lot now as well. So
yeah, she isn't. She actually seen a lot of her.
Yeah, they've pushed her really well. In addition to obviously winning her fights, which is the most important thing, they've done a really good job of making her a top star for them.
Shout out Dominic Gibbs finding that talent and giving her her first pro fight as well. You know, big up Cage Steel. I love a good little jab in there. I'm so sorry. I can't help myself. But no, I mean, winning that PFL Europe is no small feat. Whatever, and the way she did it as well is just smoked everyone. I think she'll do well in the world next year. If they do a 125-pound division for that, I really think she'll do well. I think she'll be in the UFC next year, to be honest. After this season, I don't think she'll be in PFL anymore. Or maybe she will. It's a different landscape now, isn't it? PFL are paying, they're doing exciting stuff. It's like, it's what you want from it, isn't it?
Actually, the contracts are going to have a lot to say about that as well.
Yeah.
It ends after the season, though, doesn't it? It's only seasonal. Yeah, once the season's done, it's over. Unless they're like showcase bouts, it might be different. But if you sign up for a season, it's just your season. So, could be interesting.
I mean, if they were smart, they'd have it down to a longer term deal.
Yeah. But that's the thing with them, and it's why I like PFL. They give the fighters so much more leeway in like what they want to do. Like, how many promotions do you know if they can't match a fight with you, they'll let you go fight elsewhere? There's no one, but PFL don't mind because they know you're coming back. Like, I really like what we're doing with fighters at the moment, and that's a topic for a different podcast episode. That is a heavy discussion we could have there.
Yeah, when we talk about the PFL and Bellator deal, I think that she is one of the like fighters that benefits from this the most. Having Bellator's roster of female talent added into the PFL is so big for her. I think
100%.
We can actually see some like, I don't know how quick PFL are going to push her into, whether they do a bracket, a tournament at her weight class, or whether they just do her in some one-off fights and things like that. But it's exciting to see, because I think that, you know, before you were probably thinking, how much longer is she going to be in the PFL? I think she could probably stay with the PFL for another couple of years at least and fight, you know, gradually better opposition. And then eventually, you know, I have no doubt that she'll be fighting the top people in that division in no time.
I mean, there's more, like you said, there's more names for her. At the start of this year, obviously in PFL Europe, she's a league ahead of everyone else. Let's be real about that. But now they've got people like Liz Carmouche, like Alima Leigh McFarlane, like Kana Watanabe.
Give her Denise Kielholtz. I want to see Dakota versus Denise Kielholtz. I think that's a sick fight. I think that'll be a sick fight. Like, no doubt about it. That'll be a sick fight. But like Steve said, there, it's champions versus champions coming up soon, isn't it? So
I mean, yeah. Do they do Dakota versus Carmouche?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I like that. I'd still go for that. And I think Dakota wins without being like that. I think she does. I think she's just young, fresh, and do you know what I mean?
It'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm going to say it straight away. We said it last year. It's going to take a big year from one of those female fighters to stop Dakota from winning it again.
I was going to say back to back. The only hope is Chanel. Chanel is our only hope. Well,
you say only hope. I have no problem with Dakota winning it.
I have no problem either.
We don't have an agenda.
I was going to say there's no agendas here. Like, this will be the Dakota Ditchever award if she wins next year. But it just shows how good the female talent's going up in the country. And like, I love it, mate. It's just all props all around, innit? I just like the drama of the vote. That's what I love.
And if there was any doubt about her star potential, not only, you know, being a regular fixture at this point on Manchester City's social media and like literally like world-class players sharing clips of her fight, like that is incredible to see. But also that walkout at the finals in Dublin
Yeah.
was incredible. That was
Mint.
like, if you didn't know, if that was your first time tuning into the PFL and you watched that, you'd be going, "Oh, she's like the face of the promotion," I guess. Like, it was, an incredible moment. Well, she is, but she felt so much bigger than some of the other people on the roster and stuff.
I think she's already going to be bigger than Kayla Harrison. Like, I think this year it'll be like, do you know what I mean? I really do. I think she's the future, as Wallace would say in one of the Wallace and Gromit films.
Shout out to just quickly last year's winner, Corey McKenna, who just got married.
Did Corey McKenna win it last year?
No, she won submission. She won submission of the year last year. Steve, she won by the bump flu choke.
Yeah, she's nominated and she won submission. But yeah, she just got married, so congrats to her.
I like Corey McKenna too. So go on.
We love Corey McKenna.
Corey McKenna's the Don.
All right. Final category.
Can I just say I was outraged at this decision? I was outraged.
Male Fighter of the Year.
I felt someone had stripped me down, laid me in the woods naked, and had their way with me. Because honestly, this was just awful for me. So I will say straight away, 4th place was my Big Phil. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Oh my God, it wasn't. It was Makayev was 4th. I'm sorry. Makayev was 4th.
I feel like
I've ruined the drama of it. No. But no, Makayev was 4th, which I was shocked by actually. But that wasn't what I was saying about. And he had a good year, Makayev. I think Makayev had a really good year to come
Top
4th
10.
Anyway. I say come
in the
4th.
division.
I mean, there's a very good chance he's going to be in title contention this time next year.
I think I said it when he was in IMAF. I will say it again. He will be a UFC champion. He will.
I think so.
Eventually. But and not only do you have 2 big performances with 2 big wins, like the actual fights themselves, he just showed how like he's leveling up each time. Like, it's weird to see him go. He started from the bottom, he's getting to the top, but it's scary to see how well he adapts with each fight. Like, he's just ahead. So
as much as like, I know that like maybe we didn't put too much shine on it because he had the 2 nominees, but to submit Jafel Filio after, I don't know how he stayed in that fight in the first place, but then to submit Tim Elliott, like the transition that he does to get that submission is against Tim Elliott, who is like such an underrated guy in that division.
So underrated, man. People were like,
you don't see people stop Tim Elliott that often either. So that was so impressive. And crack the top 10 in flyweight, and we'll have a much bigger year this year, I'm sure. So I hope that Alex Perez fight happens. I really do.
Yeah.
But third,
Cauley in number 3.
Number 3, Cauley.
I was fuming at this. I was actually like, I was going to rig the vote. I wasn't going to lie. I'm not even lying. I was going to rig the vote. I was so unamused. But then I thought, I have ethics. Somewhat, anyway. And morals. So 3rd place was Phil DeFries. Last year's winner. 3rd place. Had a big win over Todd Duffy. I don't care what you've got to say about Todd Duffy. Todd Duffy is still Todd Duffy. And Phil DeFries beat Todd Duffy. So... fuck you all. He also had a good win over, I don't know if his name's Simon Bajor, Sizimon Bajor, Yaman Bajor. I don't know how to say his name, but he beat him, and it was a good performance.
I'm gonna find this guy's name.
You Violent Money TV viewers, you people that voted on our poll, you people that follow us on everything, didn't vote for him, and I'm disappointed at that. You all disappoint me, and you're all grounded for a day. Early baths, beds, and teas for you all, you heartless fucks.
The thing with Big Phil DeFries, and last year him winning Male Fighter of the Year, is one of my favorite things that we've done in the history of Violent Money TV. However, just like last year when we were joking, that's crazy, he's beaten Leon and Brennan Loughnane and all that stuff. When you look at it, he has still continued throughout this year to be one of the most dominant champions in MMA globally.
Yeah.
So even though we're like joking about it and stuff like that, man, Phil DeFries is so deserving of the credit that he gets. And I would have loved to have seen him become a back-to-back UK Male Fighter of the Year. It wasn't meant to be, unfortunately, this year. But I'm so glad that he still got in this shortlist of the top 4, even just because
Yeah.
I love being able to shout out that incredible run he's had in KSW because it is so deserving of praise.
Yeah, all jokes aside, Phil DeFries is definitely deserving last year and this year. Like, it's hard because we know KSW, but I think it still gets slept on when it comes to like the UK side of it
Yeah,
because
yeah,
there's not many UK athletes there, and Phil does a stellar job representing us. So big up Phil. Again, he was training with Eddie Hall, Mick Parkin, and Tom Aspinall this morning.
you said Eddie Hall before you said Mick Parkin and Tom Aspinall.
I'm not being funny. Eddie Hall is probably pound for
The
pound
most
probably the
famous out of
greatest
the 4, to
heavyweight
be
in the
fair.
planet. I mean, you don't want to mess with Eddie Hall, mate. He'll fucking deadlift you above his head. Do you know what I mean? Don't matter how big these lads are. He'll fucking. But yeah, yeah. Big up Phil, man. Big up Phil.
Yeah, I
But
once saw Eddie Hall at a convention. Like, I didn't meet him. He was like, I think I was meeting Bisbing, and like Eddie Hall was in the booth next to him. That's a big boy.
I was gonna say he doesn't look. He obviously looks massive. I'm not trying to say he's not massive, but like he is fucking insanely huge, isn't he? Like he is fucking.
Yeah, he's big.
He's
Yeah.
wider than a fire door. Him. Like I don't care what anyone says. He's fucking massive. He's turning side on to walk. How does that man use the tube? The fucking train wouldn't go. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like, can Eddie Hall please get off? Like, he's just hench as fuck. Do you know what I mean? He's not as wide as me, but
I've done some research. I believe the name you were trying to say earlier was Shitterman Bajor.
Yes, that's his name.
There you go.
Simon. I'm going to call him Simon still. The Z's just silent for me.
I think it's Shaiman. Shaiman.
Shaiman.
I came to clarify this, and I'm like messing it up worse than Cauley did.
I'm not going to try.
Shaiman.
We'll clip this now, Steve. This is what we're going to clip.
We of course, before we talk about the winner of this award, we did mention him earlier, but big Phil DeFries' teammate, Big Tom Aspinall. We all knew that he was going to be at the top of the heavyweight division at some point. Didn't expect it to be this early after he came back from his injury earlier this year. If there was, an award for comeback of the year, I think that he would be right up in the mix for that. He, of course, won knockout of the year for his victory over Sergey Pavlovich. And if you listened to the VM annual games, then you will know that both me and Jake predicted Tom Aspinall to be the fighter of the year in 2024. So, need we say any more? Big Tom. What a guy. What a guy.
Big Tom is the man. I do love a bit of Big Tom. And as I said before, Curtis Mayfield is the man.
I do love the fact that the UK has 2 UFC champions this year, and both of them very different characters, but both of them just tremendous people. Like and Big Tom just seems lovely at all times.
I mean, have you seen the video of him on the bus?
Yeah. I know the one you mean. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not seeing. You'll have to link me. You're gonna have to link me now.
It's like an promotional advert for like the Manchester bus system.
Oh, is he on that?
Yeah, and it's like him with a couple of kids being like, what not to do on the bus.
I have seen that.
Him.
Yeah, I have seen that. It's so sound, isn't he? And also,
and then one of the things is don't throw things at a bus, and I instantly think of Conor McGregor.
No, I love Tom Aspinall. He's a big advocate for autism. So shout out Tom Aspinall. Shout out Tom Aspinall. I'm about that.
Yeah.
I'm about that.
I love Tom Aspinall, even though some of you will try to push the narrative that I pushed a door into him, which is not how it happened.
Steve tried to assault him viciously.
I mean, I did that, and then he became the heavyweight champion. So, like,
the best MMA base is battling Steve with a door. That is the MMA base we need.
The massive walkout door at Cage Warriors Indigo shows.
Yeah, more people need to show up at the Indigo because that door is unavoidable. You were like,
I mean, Arnold Allen was right behind Tom Aspinall. if he was in front of Aspinall, maybe he'd have beat Max Holloway. Who knows?
Before we announce the winner, gentlemen, my bladder is not going to hold.
You really? We have like 2 minutes left, man.
I can hold it
Come
for
on.
you. I'll
Come
I'll
on.
hold it for you. Go on. Go
Because
on then.
what else needs to be said about the incredible year that Leon Edwards has had? I wrote in the piece about Rocky Edwards that it fills me with great proud, great proud, brilliant. I didn't write that, by the way. My writing isn't that terrible.
Fact check now.
I did do an edit, I promise. I'm sure you guys feel the same. It fills me with great pride to be able to say that Leon Edwards is not just our fighter of the year. He is one of the best fighters in the world today. Period. Like
Amen.
that is it. I also put in the written piece that he probably would have won this award just by defending the belt on home soil against Kamaru Usman in a performance that showed that whatever anyone wanted to say about Headshot Dead, it wasn't a fluke. Leon Edwards is that good, so on and so forth. But to me, the thing that I will remember this year about Leon Edwards specifically was the way he acted in that fight against Colby Covington. To go out there and put on a performance that was that controlled. And I know that there was complaints about Colby's performance and all that stuff, but to go out there and to be like, I'm going to prove that I am the best welterweight in the world, and whatever you say ain't going to change that. And just cool, calm and collected, the coolest man in the building at all times, Leon Rocky Edwards. Pound for pound.
He's the man, isn't he? He is the man, Leon. And there is nothing that makes me more happier than seeing Leon with his little smile when he's just buzzing his head off. Do you know what I mean? He just looks so made up, and I just think, what a little lad.
Really feels like this year we've started to see Leon's personality. I feel like,
yeah, definitely. And it's just, again, it's what I love about English guys. They're just normal. No one's got an ego up their ass. They just sound normal guys who crack on, and like they don't try and be anything they're not. And I love it. Just work hard and get your goal in it. Love it.
Talk about the personality of Leon Edwards again. That's come out in a big way. I think this year there was, Leon Edwards was not a very liked fighter a couple of years ago, even amongst UK fans. And now you're looking at the fact that Leon Rocky Edwards might be the first title fight announced for UFC 300.
I hope so.
I think he probably
very, very possible.
Very, very possible. In fact, I can't see a way that he isn't a part of that card, whether it'll be the first one announced, whatever. But I'm pretty sure he's going to be a part of that card, and that is incredible. That is absolutely incredible to see. And then, I don't want to use this podcast to rant about the fact that he should be fighting a Villa Park, but that please at the end of the year.
That is a one for another day, Kyle, because I have several strong opinions circulating that fact.
I'm not going to get you started.
He should have had that for Rafael dos Anjos, never mind a title shot. Do you know what I mean? I'm not carrying on.
Nah, back at the O2.
Don't fucking talk about the O2 either. I've had enough. Worst venue, O2.
Leon Edwards. The fact that when we did the annual games, we spoke about, who one of the questions I asked you guys was who is the best welterweight of all time that isn't George St. Pierre, and the fact that we all agree Kamaru Usman is the best welterweight. Well, I think Cauley might have said Leon Edwards, but it happens. But the fact that we all agreed that Leon probably not that far away, couple of fights, and I think a couple of fights that I feel pretty confident in saying that he'll win. We've said it about so many people on this list to be like, what an incredible year it's been for UK MMA, but it's going to be even better next year. Leon Edwards only going to get better. And I guess we're getting the Bilal fight, so I am thrilled.
Bilal, Islam, whoever, Shavkat, let's get it.
Absolutely. There was never in doubt. You beat Kamaru Usman and you beat Colby Covington. Fighter of the year. Simple.
Easy work. Also, great walkout song, Shabba Madapot, Dexter Daps. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. I think that is it. We've made it through all of the awards. feels like we can finally move on to talking about what's coming up and getting interviews in, all that stuff. Now that the awards are done and dusted, we will be back hopefully next week to do our champion predictions for the rest of the year, and also to look back at our predictions from last year, see how well we did, and yeah, good stuff. Is there anything else you guys want to say about the awards before we close out the episode?
I'm excited and stressed to see what they'll be this year.
Yeah.
Nah, same time next year.
Okay,
So cool.
you got check out the written pieces on the website, and also the acceptance speeches that will be posted on social media. And thank you for everyone that voted, because it's crazy to see.
Definitely.
Same as last year. As stressful as we've made it out to be, it's so worth it every time.
Oh, it's nice to see everyone getting involved as well. It's so lovely to see the numbers from last year go up as well. Like it's really nice, man. So thank you everyone that's tuning in, voting, getting involved. We couldn't do it without you, baby. So I'm pointing at yous. Feel loved. Feel loved.
And we will see you. We will see you very soon for more standard episodes, I guess.
Yep.
Indeed,
Trivia Championship coming soon.